File item 42 is ACR 155. Clerk will read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 155 by Assemblymember Campos relative to Equal Pay Day.
Ms. Campos, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. More than 50 years after the passage of the Equal Pay Act, women across almost every industry continue to receive unequal pay. While California has been a leader in trying to close the gender wage gap, there is clearly more to do as we move forward. Women still only make 79 cents for every dollar a man makes. And for women of color, the picture is even worse, with African American women making 64 cents and Latinas are only making 44 cents to the dollar. Today, more women are graduating college than men. Yet over the course of a 35-year career, a woman with a college degree will make an average of $1.2 million less than a man with the same level of education. Nearly 4 in 10 mothers are primary breadwinners in their household, and nearly 2/3 are primary wage earners. ACR 155 would proclaim April 12, 2016 as Equal Pay Day in recognition of the need to eliminate the gender wage gap in women's earning and to promote policies to ensure equal pay for all women. Members, it is important that we start being at the forefront of this issue here in California. We've done some things, but not enough has been done. I respectfully request your aye vote, and I ask for the first roll be open for co-authors, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Ms. Campos. Mr. Dodd, you are recognized from your desk.
Mr. Chair and members, California is often the driving force for social change. As we saw last year, California can set a high bar, leading our nation in regard to policies on gender pay equity. However, we must continue to give attention to this issue and to promote equal pay for women. Why should my granddaughters make less for doing the same work as my grandson? Why should any woman make less than any man for the same exact job? The answer is simple: they shouldn't. We've heard the stark statistics this morning. This is not just a problem for women, but for our whole society. Income inequality shortchanges families and adds to retirement insecurity. Closing the pay gap is about gender equality, but it's also about equal opportunity. It's about making families stronger, and it's about leaving California a better place for future generations. I'm glad our state legislature continues to take this issue seriously, and I appreciate the member from San Jose for authoring this resolution. Please join me in supporting ACR 155.
Thank you, Mr. Dodd. Ms. Garcia, you are recognized.
Thank you. I rise in strong support of ACR 155. The Legislative Women's Caucus has made securing women's economic security as one of our highest priorities. Pay fairness is one of those pillars that will help all of us rise to equity. As my colleague from San Jose just mentioned, the more we as women have on our shoulders, the less we are paid. This isn't fair. This isn't equitable. And the time to change this is now. If you are a woman, you get paid less. If you are Latina or Black, even less. If you are a mother, even less. This is a topic that has been researched and discussed for 6 decades now, and we cannot wait at this rate for another 45 years for pay equity. I strongly urge an aye vote and thank my colleague from San Jose for bringing this to us today.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. All debate having ceased on the item, Ms. Campos is asking that the first roll be open for co-authors on the resolution. Clerk will open the roll. All members wishing to add as co-authors on the resolution, co-authors on ACR 155. This is for co-authors members. The clerk will close the roll. There are 66 co-authors added. With that, the clerk will open the roll. This is a roll call vote, members. All members vote or desire to vote. 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 The clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. I-67, no, 0. Resolution is adopted. File item 43 and file item 44 are passed and retained. We're moving to file item 45. That's AB 2374. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2374 by Assemblymember David Chu, and Act relating to public contracts.
Mr. David Chu, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. Appreciate your consideration of AB 2374, which would extend Construction Manager General Contractor Authorization, or CMGC, to ramps that are not on the state highway system, allowing construction managers to be engaged during the design process. The purpose of this bill is to facilitate the Yerba Buena Island Bridges Retrofit Project, a complicated and expensive seismic and public safety project by the San Francisco County Transportation Authority on locally owned road facilities that connect to the I-80 Bay Bridge. Extending CMGC to ramps would reduce the construction timeline, costs, and risks. I appreciate the unanimous vote in the Transportation Committee and ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chu. See no discussion or debate on this item. The clerk will open the roll. All members vote or desire to vote. All members vote or desire to vote. All members vote or desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 71, no 0. Measure passes. File items 46 through 49 pass and retain. We're moving to file item number 50. That is AB 2710. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2710 by Assemblymember Cooley, and Act relating to insurance.
Mr. Cooley on the bill.
Colleagues, I'm pleased to present to you AB 2710 related to the California Insurance Guarantee Association. Guarantee associations serve to support the interests of consumers as they buy contracts of insurance. The business of insurance, you buy a policy, you part with money, and you hope the funds are there to pay a claim in the future. In the event the funds are not there because a carrier goes bankrupt, the system steps up, insurance companies contribute to a guarantee association to cover that claim so the burden does not fall on the consumer. This bill simply updates that financial sharing of the risk process as supports the California Insurance Guarantee Association. It's a good bill, worked out with the Department of Insurance, has no opposition. I request an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Cooley. With that, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote or desire to vote. All members vote or desire to vote. All members vote or desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 69, no 0. Measure passes. File item 51 is AB 1787. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1787 by Assemblymember Gomez, and Act relating to environmental protection.
Mr. Gomez, you may open.
Mr. Speaker and members, today I'm presenting Assembly Bill 1787, which requires the California Environmental Protection Agency to prioritize the state's most disadvantaged communities in its enforcement actions involving multiple environmental areas such as air, water, toxic waste, and pesticides, referred to as cross-media enforcement action. These actions are separate from Cal EPA's ongoing regulatory and enforcement work. This bill does not interfere with those existing mandates. AB 1787 seeks to improve compliance with environmental laws in our state's most disadvantaged and underserved communities. The bill passed out of Natural Resources and Appropriation with bipartisan support and no votes. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Gomez. Mr. Ridley Thomas, you are recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in affirmation of my colleague from Los Angeles' AB 1787. The challenges of environmental degradation and toxic spills and contamination reach all communities. And while the Exide disaster is most associated with areas in and around two of our colleagues from East Los Angeles, its deleterious effects reach all across Southern California and even into South Los Angeles, many, many miles away. So we thank you for this. This is will advance public health. This will raise the IQ of our regulators and help understand the impact of these broad disasters. A disaster to one is a disaster to all where it concerns the environment, and this bill helps better coordinate communication across agencies. Thank you to the gentleman from East Los Angeles, and I would respectfully request an aye vote on AB 1787. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Ridley Thomas. All debate having ceased on the item, Mr. Gomez, you may close if you wish.
I ask for your aye vote. Thank you so much.
Clerk will open the roll. All members vote or desire to vote. All members vote or desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 68, no 0. Measure passes. File item 52, AB 1953. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1953 by Assemblymember Weber, an act relating to public safety.
Dr. Weber, you may open.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Speaker and members. Today I rise with AB 1953, which is really a cleanup bill from AB 953. This bill simply makes technical clarifications to last year's bill by revising the term citizen to civilian throughout the government penal and vehicle codes to ensure that the statute accurately reflects what is being utilized operationally by law enforcement agencies when conducting duties, such as reporting their activities with members of the public. Additionally, this bill has basically clarifies that all civilians are eligible to file complaints regardless of citizenship. It has received bipartisan support in committees, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Dr. Weber. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote or desire to vote. All members vote or desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 70, no 0. The measure passes. File item 53 is H.R. 44. The clerk will read.
House Resolution 44 by Assemblymember Atkins and others relative to organ donation.
Ms. Irwin, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to present House Resolution 44, which proclaims April 2016 as Donate Life California DMV Month in the state of California. In California, there are nearly 22,000 people waiting for a second chance at life. About every 10 minutes, one person will be added to the National Organ Transplant waiting list. Every day, 22 people will die because a life-saving organ is not available. In July 2006, the Donate Life California Registry and the Department of Motor Vehicles began a partnership which replaced pink dot stickers and donor cards and created an electronic database of the state's registered organ donors. Nearly a decade later, there are over 13 million registered organ donors in California, with 95% of the donors on the registry added by the DMV with a simple checkoff box. Please join me in recognizing April 2016 as Donate Life California DMV Month. I ask that the first roll call be open for co-authors.
Thank you, Ms. Irwin. Mr. Frazier, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and what a great day to be able to recognize this organization, and thank you for my colleague for doing so. I do have the pink dot on my license. I have many friends who have been saved because of the gift of life, from others' generosity and absolutely compassion for others. I cannot think of a greater cause than to support this organization with this legislation, and I really again thank the author of the resolution to bring this great organization here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Madam Speaker Emeritus, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As joint author on this measure, I rise in support and thank my colleague from Thousand Oaks, who's highlighted the staggering number of lives affected by the lack of organ donors. But one point I want to make, we also need to be aware of the disproportionate impact this issue has on the minority communities in California. Racial minority groups make up 72% of the state's transplant waiting list. This fact stresses the need for more donors from various backgrounds. Not everyone will need an organ donation in the course of their life, but every single potential donor can make a difference. So I commend the partnership between the Department of Motor Vehicles and Donate Life California on their success in garnering more donors. And we as legislators need to ensure that our constituency is informed of the ongoing need for donors, as well as to strongly encourage their participation in this life-saving program. Also, respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Emeritus.
Grove to your right. Grove.
Ms. Grove, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I, too, rise in support of this bill. I still remember my first year here in 2010 when we took office, where a bill was presented by the former Speaker of the House, and there was testimony beyond testimony. So you had this testimony, you just have to picture it. It was a packed hearing room, and it was presented about Donate Life. And then a young man came up to testimony who gave testimony. He was the primary witness, and he talked about how he needed a heart, how if he didn't have that heart, he wouldn't be able to do the things that he was able to do now. He was mostly bedridden, couldn't walk even to the bathroom, had to have assistance because his heart was so weak. He actually got a heart transplant, and now he was in college at that time studying forensics science and wanting to go on to be a police detective. And then through the testimony, after everybody came up and said, I support this bill, I support this bill, I support this bill, there was an elderly man. He was Latino, Hispanic man. He came up, he had on like a tan shirt, long sleeve tan pants. He was twisting his hat in his hands. And he said that he supported this bill because his son's heart lived in the witness, which gave him an opportunity to succeed in life. So this is a very important bill, and I ask everyone to support it.
Thank you, Ms. Grove. Seeing no additional discussion or debate on this item, Ms. Irwin, you may close if you wish.
Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Irwin. And I believe Ms. Irwin would like co-authors on this resolution. The clerk will open the roll. Members, this is for co-authors on H.R. 44. The clerk will close the roll. There are 73 co-authors added. Without objection, we may take a voice vote on the resolution. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Ms. Irwin, back to you for your special guest introduction related to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Here today on behalf of Donate Life California DMV Month are Jean Shiamoto, the Director of the Department of Motor Vehicles, Eric Birch, the CEO of Donate Life California, Monica Johnson, Donate Life California Board President, Kathy Olmo, Donate Life California Board Member, Lauren Meeks, two-time kidney recipient, Debbie Crane, double lung transplant, and Emily Spanigal, liver recipient. Their work in the transplant community is helping thousands of Californians receive a second chance at life.
File items 54 through 56, pass and retain. Consent calendar, members. Does any member wish to remove an item from the consent calendar? Seeing and hearing none, the clerk will read the second day consent calendar.
Assembly Bill 2390 by Assemblymember Brown, and Accolade and Juveniles.
The clerk will open the roll on the second day consent calendar. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 75, no 0. Consent calendar is adopted. The clerk will read the remaining bills on the second day consent calendar.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 115.
Ayes 75, no 0.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 123.
Ayes 75, no 0.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 130.
Ayes 75, no 0.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 134.
Ayes 75, no 0.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 135.
Ayes 75, no 0.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 138.
Ayes 75, no 0.
And Assembly Concurrent Resolution 142.
Ayes 75, no 0. Members, we are going to move briefly back to guest introductions. Ms. Campos, I neglected to recognize you for your special guest introduction related to Equal Pay Day. Members, if you could please give Ms. Campos your attention. Ms. Campos, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, please join me in welcoming advocates from local chapters of the American Association of University Women who have made pay equity for women their life mission. Please give them a round of applause.
Members, we are moving to announcements and adjournments in memory. The following members were granted prior permission to speak on an adjournment in memory. Members, I'd ask that you take your seats and give your respectful attention to your colleagues who will be adjourning in the memory today. Members, please take your seats. Ms. Grove. Ms. Grove, you are recognized for your adjournment in memory.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I rise this morning to adjourn, or this afternoon to adjourn, in the memory of country music legend Merle Haggard, who passed away April 6th on his 79th birthday. Merle was an American icon, a songwriter, a guitarist, a fiddlist, and a fiddler and an instrumentalist. Born in Oildale, his family moved to Oklahoma from Bakersfield in 1935, where his father took a job with Santa Fe Railroad. When Merle Haggard was born, his family was living in a boxcar that his father had converted into a house. And last year, Merle's boxcar was moved to the home of the Kern County Museum for Restoration and Viewing, predominantly funded by just people in the community that wanted to make sure his legacy continued in Kern County. His father died of injuries caused by an automobile accident when Merle was only 9 years old. And 3 years later, Merle's oldest brother gave him his first guitar, which he learned to play on his own. In his teens and his 20s, Merle often found himself in trouble with the law, and eventually he ended up in San Quentin prison. He ultimately decided to turn his life around and earn a high school equivalency degree after being convinced not to attempt to escape from San Quentin. After a performance by Johnny Cash in 1958, Merle Haggard was inspired to join San Quentin's country music band, and the rest is music history. Merle was released from prison in 1960 and received a full pardon from then Governor Reagan in 1972. While digging ditches for his brother's electrical company, Merle performed and recorded music. In the mid to late 1960s, this self-taught guitarist, vocalist became a huge star. Merle with Buck Owens pioneered the Bakersfield sound, which revolutionized country music. Notable songs include Okie from Muskogee, The Fight Inside of Me, I Think I'll Just Stay Here and Drink, and If I Could Only Fly. During his career, Merle Haggard recorded songs with legendary artists and contemporaries like George Jones, Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, and Johnny Cash. He recorded 38 number one hits. Merle was honored with numerous touring, recording, and Lifetime Achievement Awards, including 19 Academy Awards and of Country Music and 6 Country Music Association Awards, 4 Grammy Awards, and the Kennedy Center Honors. He was introduced to the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame in the Country Music Hall of Fame, which features special exhibition about the Bakersfield sound. He's survived by his wife, Teresa Lane, his children, Ben, Janessa, Dana, Marty, Kelly, Noel, Scott, and his sister, Lillian. This was a legend in Kern County, a legend. There was several legends come from Kern County. You have Buck Owens, Merle Haggard, and many, many others, Johnny Cash. It's a legend in country music in Kern County. That's why we have Bakersfield's Music Best and Bakersfield Sound with Buck Owens' Crystal Palace. And many country music stars come to perform there. So please join me this morning in adjourning in the memory of Merle Haggard.
Thank you, Ms. Grove. Mr. Daly, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd also like to adjourn in the memory of Merle Haggard. He resided in my district where he passed away up in Palisadro. He was a pillar of our community, helped a lot of many young songwriters and musicians learn the skills. And basically what he did was just tell stories about his life, which was really an interesting life. So I ask that I join my colleague in adjourning in his memory today.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. Mr. Salas, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to join my colleagues in adjourning in the memory of Merle Haggard. I can't tell you how many times growing up you just listened to his music, just not only around town, but even with my family members who kind of like that Bakersfield sound, that steel guitar. Merle Haggard was obviously famous for singing with Buck Owens and developing that Bakersfield sound, which does have an exhibit in Nashville. I can tell you also that Haggard, people refer to him as like the common man's poet. So when you listen to his lyrics, a lot of times you would hear about the plight not only of maybe a bus driver or a bus boy, but really kind of the essence of what the working man or the working woman was going through in working families. And so, in fact, he actually had a song, The Working Man Blues, among one of his great hits. My colleague talked about how he had 31 number one country singles kind of moving forward, and he won a Grammy in 1983, the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2006, and he was actually in the Country Hall of Music Hall of Fame in 1994. But I could tell you, in Bakersfield, when you go to the Dust Bowl days, we have Dust Bowl days every year talking about the Dust Bowl, and it's not very uncommon that you'll hear a lot of not only Buck Owens, but Merle Haggard songs, and everybody there is just having a good time. And it's really that plight, not just saying, this is what we're going through, but this is what we're going through. We're tough enough to stick it out. And, Merle Haggard kind of epitomized that. He showed how coming from a rough childhood and how he lost his father at a young age, that you could be tough and you could make it in this world and you can show that common man's plight and just kind of the struggles we need to go through. And so he will be missed. He did pass away on his birthday on April 6th. But we do have a street also in memory of Merle Haggard, which we renamed a part of 7th Standard Road. And so, colleagues, please join me in adjourning in the memory of Merle Haggard.
Thank you, Mr. Salas. Mr. Thurman, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, sadly, I rise to ask that we adjourn in the memory of Mr. Zachary John Shreve. Zach, as he was called by those close to him, was a resident in my district in the city of El Cerrito. He was a teacher in Richmond for 22 years. And sadly, he lost his life after a very long battle with a rare form of cancer on March 24th of this year. It took his life at the age of 46. Zach taught pretty much everything. He taught PE, he taught English, he taught driver's ed. Zach was also the coach at Richmond High School for baseball, soccer, and volleyball. He was considered someone who would coach anything that students needed at Richmond High School. He also was the coach of volleyball at Contra Costa College. Zach was described as being genuine, kind, funny, giving, caring, involved, and dedicated, someone who put others before himself. His students would say things like, he went beyond his normal duties to help. He's noted for once reaching out to a student who was in a car accident and sending him a nice note and reaching out to offer support to that student. To his players, he was more than just a coach or a teacher. He was supportive and understanding. And he was a mentor to other teachers and to new teachers. Teachers who worked with him would say things like, you always made me feel confident as a teacher, and offered an amazing big brother kind of support that was essential in my early years of teaching. Zach was also very ambitious about traveling, just as ambitious as he was about his mentoring professions. His many world adventures brought him joy and fulfilled his interest in history and culture. Zach is survived by his wife, Josephine, his mother, Anne, his father, David, and step-parents, many siblings, and close friends. His memorial service will be tomorrow in Berkeley. And colleagues, I ask again that we adjourn in the memory of Zachary John Shreve.
Thank you, Mr. Thurman. Members, please bring the names of the deaths to be printed in the journal. All requests to adjourn in memory will be deemed read and printed in the journal. The session schedule is as follows. Tuesday, April 12th, check-in session. Wednesday, April 13th, check-in session. Thursday, April 14th, floor session at 9 a.m. All other items remaining will be passed and retained. All motions shall be continued. Seeing and hearing no further business, I am ready to entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Daly moves, Ms. Waldron seconds, that this House stands adjourned until Thursday, April 14th at 9 a.m. Quorum call is lifted.